In 2006, a man walked past his own wife in a grocery store. Not because he was distracted, not because he was ignoring her, because her face meant absolutely nothing to him. 11 years of marriage, 2 kids, every morning across the breakfast table. And in that grocery store aisle, she was a stranger. His case is documented in a 2007 Harvard Medical School paper. His wife now calls his name every time she walks into a room. Not as a greeting, as a necessity. Because if she doesn't, if she just appears, he will look directly at her face and feel nothing. No recognition, no warmth, no signal at all. Just a face, like any other face. Some fears don't make sense. This one is already inside your head. Prosopagnosia is a neurological condition that destroys the brain's ability to recognize faces. Not occasionally, not under stress, permanently. The name comes from Greek prosopon, meaning face. Agnosia, meaning not knowing. It was first documented in 1947 by German neurologist Joachim Bodemer, treating soldiers returning from World War II with head injuries. One soldier could not recognize his own mother standing 2 feet away from him. Another looked in the mirror every morning and had no idea who was looking back. Their vision was perfect. Their memory was intact. Their intelligence was unaffected. Their brain had simply lost the ability to turn a human face into a person. For decades, doctors assumed this only happened after physical brain damage, a gunshot wound, a stroke, a tumor. Something had to break the system. Then, in 2006, Brad Duchesne and Ken Nakayama at University College London published a study that changed everything. Prosopagnosia could be present from birth. No injury, no trauma, no detectable damage at all. The brain simply never developed the circuitry to recognize faces in the first place. They called it developmental prosopagnosia. Current estimates put it at 2 to 2.5% of the global population. That is 190 million people. Most of them have never been diagnosed. Most of them have spent their entire lives thinking they were simply bad with faces, embarrassed, apologetic, quietly ashamed of something they had no control over whatsoever. In 1997, neuroscientists Nancy Kanwisher, Josh McDermott, and Marvin Chun at MIT identified a specific brain region that activates almost exclusively in response to human faces. They called it the Fusiform Face Area, located in the temporal lobe. This region does not work like the rest of your visual system. When you look at a chair, your brain identifies it piece by piece: 4 legs, a seat, a back. Components. Faces are different. The Fusiform Face Area processes a face as a single unified object. It takes the entire configuration, the exact distance between the eyes, the specific ratio of forehead to jaw, the precise geometry of every feature relative to every other feature, and matches it against a stored library built from years of exposure. This process takes 170 milliseconds, faster than a blink. Before you are consciously aware of seeing the face at all, your brain has already identified who it belongs to. fMRI studies show that in a typical brain, the fusiform face area fires strongly and consistently every single time a human face appears in the visual field. In people with prosopagnosia, that activation is either dramatically reduced or completely absent. The face arrives. The machinery stays silent. Here is what prosopagnosia looks like in real life. A 2015 study from Goldsmiths, University of London, led by Dr. Sarah Bate, examined 23 adults with developmental prosopagnosia. None had brain injuries. All had normal or above average intelligence. 78% reported significant problems at work, avoiding jobs that required face-to-face interaction, being perceived as cold or arrogant by colleagues, living with constant low-grade social anxiety, because every interaction carried the risk of a humiliating failure to recognize someone they were supposed to know. 19 of the 23 participants had never told a doctor. They had just quietly built their entire lives around the deficit. The compensatory strategies people develop are extensive. They learn to recognize voices before faces. They memorize hairstyles, glasses, the way someone walks. They use context as a substitute. If someone approaches them at the gym, it must be someone from the gym. They become experts at reading everything except the one thing the rest of us rely on automatically. And then someone gets a haircut, or wears a hat, or appears somewhere unexpected, and the system collapses completely. One patient in Bates' study described sitting through an entire dinner with a woman she didn't recognize, nodding, responding, maintaining conversation before realizing it was her own sister. Her sister had changed her hair color. That was enough. The worst documented symptom of prosopagnosia is this. Some patients cannot recognize their own face. Not in photographs, not in videos, and in certain conditions in an unfamiliar mirror, or when caught off guard, not in real time either. In a 2009 study by researchers Barton and Coro at the University of British Columbia, patients with acquired prosopagnosia were shown photographs of their own faces mixed with photographs of strangers, with no indication of which image was them. Several patients could not identify themselves above chance level. Statistically, their own face was indistinguishable from a stranger's face. One patient told the researchers, "I know what I look like because other people have described me to me, but I don't know it the way you know it." Think about what that means. Your face, the thing that is most specifically and exclusively you, exists for you only as secondhand information. A description, a report from other people. You have never actually seen yourself. Oliver Sacks was one of the most celebrated neurologists of the 20th century. He spent his career documenting the strange, broken, and astonishing things the human brain could do. He had prosopagnosia his entire life and didn't fully recognize it until late in his career. In his 2015 memoir, Sacks described the incidents that had accumulated over decades. Failing to recognize colleagues at conferences, walking past friends on the street, spending several minutes in conversation with a man at a party before realizing the man was his own psychiatrist, someone he had seen regularly for years. On multiple occasions, he mistook his own reflection for another person in the room. What is clinically significant here is not just the diagnosis. It is how completely a highly intelligent, deeply self-aware person had adapted around a major neurological deficit without ever identifying it as a deficit. He thought he was just bad with faces. He built an entire social life around the workaround and called it personality. There is no cure. For acquired prosopagnosia caused by stroke or brain injury, partial recovery is sometimes possible in the months following the injury, depending on the location and extent of the damage. For developmental prosopagnosia, no medical treatment exists. A 2014 study from Macquarie University in Australia tested an intensive face recognition training program on 32 people with developmental prosopagnosia. After 8 weeks, roughly half showed measurable improvement on standardized tests. Real-world recognition remained significantly impaired. Current research is focused on assistive technology, smartphone applications that use facial recognition software to identify people in real time and deliver the name through an earpiece. Early prototypes exist. None are commercially available yet. The most advanced solution currently available to someone with severe prosopagnosia is a device doing for them what their brain cannot. 190 million people worldwide cannot recognize the faces of the people they love. Most of them have never been diagnosed. Most of them are in your life right now, the colleague who always seems slightly distant, the neighbor who walks past without acknowledgement, the person who asks your name at the third meeting and quietly apologizes. They are not rude, they are not cold. Their fusiform face area is silent, where yours fires in 170 milliseconds. They have learned to function in a world built entirely around a sense they don't have. They have built relationships, raised children, maintained careers, all without the one social tool every other human being takes completely for granted: the face of someone you love, recognized in an instant. For 1 in 40 people, that moment has never happened. Not once. Some fears don't make sense. This one makes perfect sense.